Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned to Label Television, the channel whose premier's mission is branding Africa's image. Good afternoon, good Sunday, and welcome to your program which decrypts, analyzes, and brings back to you major informations on the African continent for Africans and by Africans. On my left, we have Joseph Willie. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you, Eva. How are you?
How are you today, Joseph
fine,
Willie?
Very fine, very fine.
And on my right, none other but Gauthier Perchano. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Eva.
Okay, today, ladies and gentlemen, three major stops in this program. We will talk about South Africa. You know, Jacob Zuma was forced to resign during this week. That brings us to open the political stuff in this program, 7th round, ladies and gentlemen. And secondly, something less serious, not saying that Valentine's is not serious, but we are going to talk about the Valentine's Day celebrated every year on the same date, 14th February of every year. And then finally we are going to talk about a man that brings us to open the sports part of this program. This man is called Jerome Efonzolo, and he is presenting himself to be the president of the Federation of Gabon, of the Federation of Football here in Gabon. So we open with politics, as earlier announced less than 2 months after taking the lead of the ruling African National Congress ANC. Cyril Ramaphosa officially took over the presidency from Jacob Zuma, forced last Wednesday to resign. His accession to the head of the country sounds like a consecration for this child of Soweto, an activist from the beginning of the struggle against apartheid. He was a trade unionist, a prospective dolphin of Nelson Mandela, and a successful businessman at 65. Cyril Ramaphosa is finally prepared to realize the ambition of his whole life to lead South Africa. Here is the portrait of this man, defined as a hero in the memoirs of late Nelson Mandela. Listen and watch attentively. Then we'll be back for the debate.
I declare the Honorable Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa duly elected President of the Republic of South Africa.
Less than 2 months after taking the helm of the ruling African National Congress, Ramaphosa is due to officially replace Jacob Zuma's presidency on Friday, forced to resign on Wednesday. His accession to the head of the country sounds like a consecration for this child of Soweto, an activist from the beginning of the struggle against apartheid, and a revenge. Already in 1999, Cyril Ramaphosa had thought he could win his grail. Considered the favorite son of the icon Nelson Mandela, he had already run for presidency of the ANC, but the party chiefs had finally preferred Thabo Mbeki. Disappointed, he had pretended to give up any presidential claim to devote himself to business after amassing a fortune of nearly 378 million euros, according to the 2015 ranking of Forbes magazine. Mr. Ramaphosa returned to the political arena by being elected in 2012 vice president of the ANC. Born on November 17, 1952 in Soweto, Cyril Ramaphosa was a student activist in the 1970s. Arrested in 1974, he spent 11 months in solitary confinement. A law graduate, he turned to trade unionism, a legal form of protest against the apartheid regime, and in 1982, he founded the National Union of Miners. Under his command, the organization became a war machine with 300,000 members, and his involvement in the big strike of the sector in 1987, which makes the apartheid regime falter, is worthy of note to him by leaders of the ANC. When Nelson Mandela leaves prison in 1990, he makes the young trade unionist one of those who will negotiate the political transition with the white power. In the wake of the first democratic elections in the country's history in 1994, he became president of the Constituent Assembly. A formidable negotiator, he is the head of the drafting of the South African Constitution. After his failure to succeed Nelson Mandela as head of the ANC in 1999, the self-proclaimed socialist Ramaphosa broke ties with the ANC to get into business. At the head of the Shanduka holding, he made a fortune by serving on the boards of the Standard Bank, presiding over the MTN telephone operator, or buying all the licenses of McDonald's restaurants in the country, benefiting from the policy economic emancipation of blacks. Vice President of the ANC in 2012, Vice President of the country since 2014, Cyril Ramaphosa is back ambitious as ever. To achieve his goals, he relies on his moderate image and his past as a hero in the anti-apartheid struggle to seduce the middle class and investors. His passage in the world of business sometimes earns him strong criticism. In 2012, then director of the mining group Lonmin, the ex-unionist asked the police to restore order in Marikana in the north of South Africa, where miners are demanding better wages. The police opened fire on the strikers, killing 34 people.
Back on set, you're watching 7ROUND, the program which decrypts, analyzes and brings back to you major information on the African continent. My first question goes to you, Joseph Willie. The destitution of Jacob Zuma, what feeling?
I think for Jacob Zuma to leave the seat, it was just a matter of time. And that time climaxed on Wednesday, and that there was nothing he could do. He has to back out. You know, when he came in, was a lot of controversy that trailed his presidency as a president of the country. Zuma was, you know, on the 2009 to 2018, this last year, that he, just last few days, when he became the president of South Africa. There was a lot of, he came with a lot of controversy. First, it was his involvement with Thabo Mbeki.
Yes, and the way he put Thabo Mbeki out.
He pushed that, yes, Thabo Mbeki out. That was the beginning. So he did not know what he did to Thabo Mbeki, was always waiting for him. So it climaxed on Wednesday, and he has to leave the seat.
And all the allegations of corruption that also tainted his mandate at the head of South Africa. Kutiper Channel, what feeling after the destitution of Jacob Zuma?
So my feeling is very simple. You know, South Africa actually is a democratic country, and so they have just taught to listen to all Africa, and especially to the heads of state of the francophone part who don't want to leave power. You know, and in South Africa you see. The INC, it's the INC who puts the head of state on power, and after he puts the head of state on power, so the ANC, I mean the council of the ANC, can decide whether the president can stay or not. If he behaves well, and then the council will just say, okay, you just have to leave power. And I think this procedure has been well respected. You know, I think it's just a feeling of satisfaction to know that in Africa, in South Africa, it's not like in other countries, and mainly in the francophone part, where president wants to stay on power and in office for life.
Yes, but talking about staying in office for life, this wasn't the case of Jacob Zuma. The problem with Jacob Zuma was more a problem of behavior, and manners who made the ANC say this attitude doesn't stick to the image and the vision which Nelson Mandela wanted to leave in the country as legacy. So how can we describe, it is true, it is a lesson for other African heads of states, but now that this is done, Cyril Ramaphosa, who was the vice president, don't we think that being from the ANC, these same habits can still...
Yes, I think the power of the political party is very important, that an individual cannot overrule a political party. That plays out in South Africa, as a matter of fact, ANC. I think this cannot, I don't know whether it can happen in any, as my colleague rightly put it. Because I remember in Nigeria, you see, an individual might be more powerful than the political party. They want to decide. But here in ANC, they decide who is going to be
And how
there.
does it happen in Nigeria in case the president has a behavior which doesn't stick to the motto of his party or to the vision of his party? How does this happen?
I think in most cases, you see the president becoming a demigod in a political party. He's the one that will pull all the shots. He's the one that will pull all the shots. We have had it in the last political dispensation, which is the PDP, the last political party that ruled Nigeria, PDP, People Democratic Party. And then we have in this present political party, which is APC, All Progressive Congress. There, it is true, the president is supposed to be the leader of the party. But then they have the chairman of a political party. Don't forget, in South Africa, that is what is happening. The party said, you use a political party as a stepping stone to become who you are. Without a political party, you cannot be there.
Achieve.
Yes, we have to pull the shot. You cannot be the owner of a political party. We put you there collectively. What you have done is not good. Please come up. And he has to leave, because what happened to Mbeki in 2009 is that the party had to recall him. He was recalled. When this happened in Nigeria, I remember it was trying to happen in Nigeria between the PDP and you see some governors pulled out. And that was the collapse of the former people.
The former regime.
Yes, the regime, and they lost election.
We are seeing that for the past 2 years, there's a sort of awakening feeling from Africans, because we can see that we are moving more and more to democracy. What happened in Zimbabwe with the de facto military coup that pushed Robert Mugabe to resign. Jacob Zuma, reasons for behaviors pushing him because of his manners and the way people say he managed the country, which pushed him to resign after many refusals and many defiance motions. Now, Guti Perchano, do you think Africa is awakening?
Well, of course, what I will say is that there's kind of a wind, blowing over Africa, and I think we have come to the end of a certain era, and we are moving to another era, and there is this kind of awakening of Africans who aspire more to, democracy, and I think this is clear, even not only in the South African countries, but also even in Francophone countries. We had the case with Blaise Compaoré of Burkina Faso, who was also chased from power. I think I think we have arrived at the end of a cycle, and then a new cycle is beginning, a cycle which is more stuck on democracy.
But talking about a new cycle, renewal, development, and everything that comes with that, don't you think that now the time is for the new generation? Because seeing that Jacob Zuma aged of more than 50 years old, more than 60 years old, and now Cyril Ramaphosa 65, isn't it a continuation?
Yes, I think...
but before you answer this question, I think it is important to remind our televiewers that talking about innovation, Labeltv is always innovating. We are branding Africa's image. And if you want to participate, you can call to the +241 0101 45 38 34, the number which is on your screen right now, to give your point of view or even to bring in a contribution for us. Joseph Willie, you had the word.
Yes, I think when we talk about new generation, I do not see anything wrong with the old school, as we understand, leading the country. But my worry is that over the years, after the independence of most of the African countries, we have had a disappointment in choosing leaders. This is the problem that we have in Africa, because you will see people clamoring for a particular leader. Once he assumed the office, it is in fact it's a different story. You see people elected as Ramaphosa is coming in. It's from the old stock. His background is a very wealthy man. I do not know how he's going to manage his riches and that of the South African, being the president of South Africa. I think this is a debate for another day. We also had it with the Zuma that's left.
Yes.
You see, how do you manage this? Because we have seen it in America. Trump is a very rich person. He did not have that experience in politics, but I think Ramaphosa had it. Let us see how it's going to play out in some years to come. But you see, power is not given. Yes. You go out there to take power. I think credit should be given to Malema, the youth leader of that ANC before
opposition.
Yes, he left because he's the one that opened an attack.
Yes, he was in the ANC.
Yes, he was the one that opened an attack on Zuma.
Yes.
Because of the involvement.
In 2015.
Yes, in 2015. And he was a very strong supporter of Zuma.
Because of the Gupta family and his involvement in many scandals and allegations of corruption.
By the way, this Ajay Gupta, who has fled to the Arab Emirates, he has refused to hand himself into the police, and now he has been declared as a fugitive from justice in South Africa.
Wow, it's becoming more and more serious. We hope that Jacob Zuma doesn't
and that shows that
go to prison too.
Yes, it shows that an individual cannot be above the law.
The law.
No matter your alignment with the presidency or the president of a country or not. When you are wrong, you are wrong. But in Africa, you do not see people in government resigning, as we have seen in European and the Western, other Western
But more
countries.
and more people are resigning because even in Nigeria, we have some people resigning. Even here in Gabon, we had the case of Dr. Leon Nzuba when he was still minister of the education department. He resigned because he saw that things were not actually going well into this department, and then he decided to resign. But more and more, we have some people resigning.
Talking about Gabon, I was coming to talk about that. In the political party, the majority party which is ruling here, which is the PDG, I wanted to ask you, Gauthier Perchano, we are seeing that the President of the Republic of Gabon is involving more and more youths into the different bureaus of his political party. That is a good idea compared to South Africa. What do you think?
I think it's...
Where in the ANC we still have the old people,
guys.
the old dynamic, and maybe the old ideas, if we can say it in that way.
What I have to say about it is, young people, they are fresh. So they come up with new ideas, but they don't have the necessary experience for them. So there is a matter of danger. It can be dangerous in a way that young people don't have the necessary experience, and also bringing them. I think it's better, instead of just giving them more responsibilities, there should be like backbenched, backbench.
Yes,
so
it should be a joint work between the old generation and the new generation.
But the problem with the president of the republic, he has been more cited that he has been kind of leaving the old generation apart, and this can also be the source of his power being fragilized.
But I think we work with people of our generation. If he won't...
I think that might have some adverse effects, because the new generation, as I said, may not be experienced enough.
Though they have resources.
Yes, this is a country that you are leading.
And ideas.
Yes, this is a country that you are leading, and you must have to be proactive. There is a problem. What do? You would not You would not need to be running around looking for who is going to give you an instruction on what to do. Because what the president did was that if he appoints an elder, a minister, the minister delegate as what the state minister becomes a young person, so he's going to learn from the elder. Yes. So I think that it does not happen so often in other African countries where the youth, maybe 40% of them are integrated into the political
affairs of the country.
System. You see the elders.
But I'm not saying it's a wrong thing. Yes. Of course, it's a very, very interesting thing. But he shouldn't let the old men apart. Because even if you saw some of the guys going out of the party, it's because they have been frustrated that more and more young people are being given more responsibilities at the detriment of old people. But it's a good thing, to push young people forward, because they have to learn. They're coming with fresh ideas. They're coming with vigor. They are vigorous. They're coming with strength. But also, I think they have to learn and to learn.
But let me ask another question to you, Joseph Willie. The fact that Cyril Ramaphosa was cited in the memoirs of late Nelson Mandela, we all know what Nelson Mandela went through for South Africa. We know the pains he went through for the country. We know how hard he fought during the apartheid period in order to let the black gain their majority in the country, in the opposite of the whites, who had a minority but who were dominating and who took the biggest part of the country. We know the fight and the vision of Nelson Mandela. Does this add credibility to Cyril Ramaphosa's person?
you see,
knowing that he too took part in the fight.
I think other politicians in South Africa, they should not want to ride on the back of Nelson Mandela. Mandela had his vision, and he realized it. You see, those ones that came, all of them almost came at the back, because like Zuma, at the age of 17, he was an activist in ANC. He was even in the prison, the same Robben Island with Mandela. When he came up, he became the president of South Africa. He was a lot of controversy throughout his regime. But that was not the case with Nelson Mandela. Mandela was a very different individual. Mbeki came in. He was a very unassuming personality. He leads South African very well. Zuma came in with a lot of controversy. And then we are waiting for Ramaphosa. Yes, to let us see what is going to happen in
some days or in some months and years. Talking about Cyril Ramaphosa and Nelson Mandela, the legacy, we know the ANC is one of the legacies which Nelson Mandela gave to his country. Don't you think that it is rather unfortunate for a country like South Africa to have this kind of problem, of political problems?
Of course, it's very, very, very unfortunate. You know, when we talk about Nelson Mandela, it is a whole emblem for the whole world, not only for South Africa, nor not only for Africa, but it's an emblem for the whole world. And the image of Nelson Mandela, I think, compared to that of the ANC today, I think it's really, really unfortunate. And if late Mandela was still alive, I think he wouldn't be, okay with what is actually happening into the party. And also, coming back to Cyril Ramaphosa, it's true that Cyril Ramaphosa is having power right now, but something to be said is that there is a danger because all the scandals which Zuma was at the heart of, I think he may have not been alone, involved in all the scandals.
Knowing fully well that Cyril Ramaphosa was his vice president, his deputy, so...
Yeah, I think there might be a lot of people involved into the scandals. So the first work Cyril Ramaphosa has to do is to clean up the whole party, because there have been a lot of fracture inside the party, and he has the heavy task to bring all the people together and to make the ANC strong again, because today there's no denying that ANC is a party which is really fragilized.
Now, from politics, let's move to talk about society. We are talking about society and love, more specifically. Joseph Willie, what is Valentine's Day according to you? Let me ask that question first.
Valentine. I think the Valentine is celebrated all over the world on the 14th as a Lover's Day. But originally, it was people look at it as a festival. It was a Christian festival in the first place, which was also celebrated. It was put in to celebrate a saint, some saint that gives. There were some soldiers that were in jail in 18th century. These saints always get them married to, because the government, the Roman Empire at that time did not allow them. So they allowed them to get married, he gave them wedding, he weds some of them. So the people now begin to look at Valentine as a day where romantic love has come into it.
Gauthier Prechano, according to you, what is Valentine's Day? Because I think Joseph really doesn't know the notion of these days. So tell us.
No, I think it's not that he doesn't know the notion of the day, but everyone has his own perspective, his own conception of the Valentine's Day. Some will say that it's a day not only for lovers, but it's a day for love. For example, you as my sister, we can celebrate this day together. For example, you can take me out and enjoy something and just show me love, But why some people will say no?
I hope you're not putting an invitation live on set.
You're
putting an invitation.
Far be it away from me. But this is the view of certain people. Certain people say no, it's a day to celebrate love as a whole, not only romantic love, And some people will say no, it's a day in which we celebrate only romantic love, where a man and his wife will just come together and celebrate. But also there is a third category, saying that Valentine's Day is a day that symbolizes, or that how can I call it? It encourages prostitution, because on that same day you have, of course, this is not my point of view.
Let's not get in the debate. My question was, what does Valentine's Day signify to you? What, according to you, is Valentine's Day? We will be back to discuss. We have time for that, Gauthier Prechano. Chill. I wanted to say, so the answer to this, the day gets its name from a famous saint, but there are several stories of who he was. Do you know how Valentine's Day came about, ladies and gentlemen? Let's find out in this report by Georgina Mpiga.
The
popular belief about Saint Valentine is that he was a priest from Rome in the 3rd century AD. Valentine felt that banning marriage was unfair, so he broke the rules and arranged marriages in secret. When the Emperor Claudius found out, Valentine was thrown in jail and sentenced to death. Therefore, he fell in love with the jailer's daughter, and when he was taken to be killed on the 14th of February, he sent her a love letter signed "From Your Valentine." Moreover, Valentine's Day is a very old tradition thought to have originated from the Romans. According to social media, back in the days, the Romans held a festival called Lupercalia in the middle of February, where boys would draw names of girls from a box. They would be boyfriend and girlfriend during the festival, and sometimes they would even get married. Later on, the church wanted to turn this festival into a Christian celebration and decided to use it to remember Saint Valentine too. Gradually, Saint Valentine's name started to be used by people to express their feelings to those they loved. So this day is used amongst people to show their affections for one another by sending cards, flowers, or chocolates with messages of love. Happy Valentine's Day.
We are back on set, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching 7th Round, your program. So we were talking about Valentine's Day, and remember, you too can call to give your contribution or participate to this program on the +241 0145 38 34 if the production permits it. Please, the number on screen. Okay, so call that number which appears on your screen right now to give or to participate or give your point of view to this program. Gossiper Channel is looking at me, so I would turn right back to him. Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to tell us a story about Valentine's Day, something funny or an epic story which can give a lesson to the lovers who are watching us. Actually, Gossiper Channel, I give you the floor.
Okay, you know, I was told a very funny story during this Valentine's Day. It's the story of two couples, right? It's two sisters living in the same house, and it was Valentine's Day. Each of the girl was waiting for a boyfriend to come and just offer her something. And the first a boyfriend came, I offered her a very beautiful smartphone, like it was really cute, and then she was celebrating with the boyfriend. Oh my dear, how dare you, I was not expecting to have this thing. He said, okay, no, there's no problem. And the other sister was just sitting down aside waiting for her turn. And not less than 2 minutes, her boyfriend came also. When he knocked at the door, she started to have a very jolly face, like, oh, my boyfriend has come.
She was waiting for her own present.
She was waiting for her own present. And when the guy came, as soon as he said, good morning, honey, she started going like, where's my present? Where's my present? He said, oh, honey, I know it's Valentine's Day. I know that I cannot come here without offering something. And then she started to say, no, I don't want you to talk a lot. I just want to see what you brought for me. He said, okay, no problem. We just pulled a bunch of flowers. And then just imagine what happened. She went mad like hell.
Why?
Really mad. Do you think, what the heck? She was like, what the heck am I going to do with a bunch of flowers? He said, but honey, just take the bunch of flowers. There's a surprise. She said, no, I don't want no bunch of flowers. And she took the bunch of flowers and she started to wipe his face. The face of the man.
Oh.
While the other couple, you see, do you remember that there's another couple just beside?
Yes, and this who has a smartphone.
They were kind of laughing at the boy. And the boy was like, oh honey, stop it. And the girl was continuing whipping him with the bunch of flower. And after when she finished whipping him, she just threw the bunch of flower. And the guy, he went like, what is she doing? He went down, he collected a bunch of flour, and then he said, okay, I'm going. The girl said, don't you call my number again. First of all, even cancel my number off your phone. He said, okay, no problem. And by the time he was just walking through the threshold of the door, he said, what a stupid girl. And he was already out. When the girl heard the word stupid girl, she went mad again. And then she ran out to jump on him and start fighting. When she came out,
oh my God.
Imagine what she discovered.
What?
A beautiful car out. The keys of the car were into the bunch of flowers. And then she started to say, oh, don't cancel my number again. Don't cancel my number. He said, baby, I'm sorry. He just took the key. He just started the car and went away.
But even offering a bunch of flowers is not bad.
No,
why did she?
It's not bad.
We have our own way of African, let me put it that way, of expressing our love to a woman. Look, we are not used to this flower of 18. If you fall in love with a woman, what is expected is always either material gift or monetary gift. You see, the flowers come from the Western world, and we accepted
no,
it.
but giving the flower is nature, Joseph.
It's nature, but not every woman, as he said, as he painted a very clear picture, but she did not know what is behind the flower. You are given a flower. It is true. Most of these stories are true, because I remember offering a flower to a woman, a friend, also offered. It is a flower.
Which
that
friend, Joseph?
I had a friend that offered a flower to her friend, a girlfriend. She has to throw the flower away. Do you think I did it a flower? Yes, it is the flower I'm going to eat. Instead of giving me the money, that you used to buy the flower, you are giving me the flower. So our own style of love in Africa does not really signify giving flower. It is because we have borrowed everything from the Western world. We seem to adapt the system of giving the flower, and everybody used to give it.
But I think, as for me, the morals behind this story is that when she was given the bunch of flower, she couldn't imagine that there was the keys of a car in it. So I think she could have been polite.
Yes, she just minimized the gift, yes.
Yeah, she could have been polite first to take the bunch of flower and just listen to the story. She could have listened to the story.
She could have just been patient.
Of course.
And that's the problem with that girls.
It also appreciate the fact that, as she said, the flower is nature. That,
and there are even some people who didn't receive anything. A boy has the feeling, the affection to bring to you a rose or even a small bunch of flowers, and you throw it away.
In fact, as I was, that last week, as I was celebrating the Val, as I was going back on my way...
You were celebrating?
Sometimes I do celebrate, not only on Valentine's Day. Yes. So as I was going back, I
one
waited...
question, if you don't mind. Did you celebrate that Valentine's Day?
In fact, it is one festival that I do not attach an importance to, but I express my love those days that I was in love. My own expression...
So you're no more in love?
No, my own expression will be, I will write a very good poem for the lady, because I remember, yes, I remember the one I wrote a long time ago. Yes, the lady in question has to paste it on our room. That override the gift that every other ladies had. Don't forget, it is the letter which the Saint Valentine wrote to the lady.
Yes.
That everybody picks today and then epitomize it and say, your Valentine. So anytime somebody say, be my Val or be my Valentine, automatically the person is asking you for a friendship. So, yes, so as I was saying, so that I will not forget, as I was, in fact, the police has to pick up a student there. They say one stole a phone to give it to his girlfriend on a Valentine. No, it's on a very serious note. So the police had to come and pack them. So why must you steal to give a loved one on a Valentine Day? So this is an abuse aspect of celebrating.
I hope that is not the story you had to tell us. You're already saying.
No, I am just adding to the reality of of demonstration of love. If you cannot express it. So
yes, you can express it through intelligence.
Yes, you can express it as you can write the poem, admire the beauty of the lady, describe the, in fact, talk about it. It can last as long as it can. It is not only material thing. It can last for more generations to come. If we look at it, this is what he wrote to her lady on a Valentine Day.
Yes.
And I have one concern.
And your story,
if
Joseph.
I may.
Before we move to his story,
before we move to his story, I just have one concern. It's a question that I want to ask you because you're a girl, specifically. Why the Valentine's Day is usually perceived as moving from the man to the woman? It's like it's always the man having to take the woman out to celebrate, to eat, or the man offering the woman something.
Me?
Why is it so?
Be a gentleman, okay?
women
all the ladies watching, I think this question is not only to me that Gautier Pechana is asking it. So call us on the +24101 45 38 34 to participate to this program and bring in your contribution. Gautier Pechana, before a lady calls to argue and to fight with you on phone, let me answer to your question. No, it is not only the man who gives a present to a woman. Even women give presents. There are some women who have the means that bring their men to the restaurant or offer a little gift, because It's just romance. It's all about
yes,
romance.
I think in
but
African,
don't wait for Valentine's to offer
no, let me
something
take it
to
from
your girl.
the perspective of his question. In African context, you do not expect a woman to make advances.
Thank you,
It is a
Joseph.
man.
Oh my
Because
God.
if a woman makes an advances on a man, it would like, this is loose.
This is what?
Yes, the girl is loose. It's not like, even when you put up a call like.
But I'm not saying a girl, you know, doing advances to a man. I'm just saying a girl. Why not a girl inviting?
To her, maybe
offering
a wife
No,
that
they do
offers
offer.
to the
No,
husband.
quite well. They do
Maybe
offer
the wife
presents.
inviting a man out to eat in a restaurant, but
Yeah,
most of the time,
or to
because
take a drink.
I'm just asking the question because in my house, you know, we are 4 boys living in the same house, and the remark was the same. My elder brother's girlfriend, you know, she was complaining about my brother taking her out, and my other brother also, he took his girlfriend out, and my girl called me to say, okay, what do we do? I was like, how come, what do we do? If you have something, invite me and I will come. And the remark was that all the boys of the house were asked, you know, to take the girls out.
Ladies who are watching the Timber channel, he's not very elegant, I think.
No, I think it depends.
Good thing you're not
No, it's
very
just a
elegant.
remark. It's just a
No.
remark.
How can you answer? This is complicated. Joseph,
No,
Willie, your own
it is-
story.
yes, it is
no,
not.
Willie, you've been
I may
running
not
away.
have a story
He's
for.
been running away.
Tell
Yes, I
us.
may not have a story for Valentine, but the issue is we can celebrate love either on a Valentine Day or on another day.
Yeah,
I want love to be celebrated in a very mature and a responsible way. If you have something to offer, you offer. If you do not have, there is no problem. Love continues. It is not only on
Yes.
on
Valentine's Day
yes,
you
on
celebrate
Valentine's Day
love.
that we celebrate love. We celebrate love every day. We celebrate our love every day. So that's it.
So that is, you just had a lesson to give. You don't have a story.
No, I don't have a story. But
Oh, Joseph.
I don't have a story for love.
You deceived us and the televiewers. But stay tuned to Label Television. 7th round is still on the roll. We are continuing, and now we are going to talk about sports. The Gabonese international football referee Jerome Efong Zolo has declared his candidacy for the Gabonese Football Federation chairmanship in a press conference which occurred last Wednesday, February 14. During the press conference, the referee exposed the reasons of his contending, saying that the national football needs new perspectives and direction. Gauthier Prochano attended this conference and he gives us an account.
The Gabonese capital Libreville served as the setting for the press conference given by the Gabonese international referee Jerome Efong Zolo on Wednesday, February 14th, 2018. The press conference was organized in the framework of the declaration of his candidacy in the Gabonese football chairmanship election. During this conference, candidate Jerome first turned to his studies in Gabon and Switzerland, then he gave an overview of his career as international referee before revealing the functions occupied both nationally and internationally. He finally closed his presentation with his vision for the federation. At the age of 14, after an injury that prevented him from continuing his career as a player, Jérôme became referee. His career began in Gabon before exporting to Belgium. In 1996, he resumed his training as a referee in Belgium. In 2000, he refereed for the first time in the Belgium National Division. On April 26th, he refereed his first international match, which marked the takeoff of his career, which is crowned by very high distinctions. Indeed, he was elected 4 times Best Referee of the Year in Belgium and received the trophy of the Best Professional Footballer of the Year 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2013. At the end of a rich career, he returned to Gabon to devote himself to other things. After holding several administrative positions at the national level, he is currently running for chairmanship of the Gabonese Football Federation after observing the current malfunctions in it. His program is based on simple keys developed to get the federation out of the current lethargy. The man who masters the grounds for having served as a former advisor to the Minister of Youth and Sport in charge of Sports Federation, Mr. Efong has a perfect knowledge of the problems undermining sports federations, especially football, and therefore intends to provide solutions.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are back on the set of 7th Round. You're watching your program every Sunday, same time, same channel. Labeltv, the channel who is branding Africa's image. We are talking about football and more precisely about the Gabonese Football Federation. Gauthier channel, you attended this event. Do you see the arrival of Jerome Efong-Zolo as a wind of change in Gabonese football?
Oh, yeah, definitely. First of all, let me, on top of what has been said into the report, I'd like to add something more. You know that Jerome, he has a very, very, very good profile. And he's, first of all, an international referee. And, his degrees, he didn't get them here in Gabon. He got them in Europe. And when he was back in the days in Europe, it was in the years 1996.
Yes.
He was one of the rarest Africans into the Federation of Belgium, and that was a great achievement. So he kind of accumulated a lot of experience. He acquired a lot of experience in terms of sport and all those things. And remember also, as I said into the report, he was nominated 4 times Best Referee of Belgium. You see, so for an African at that particular time, back in the days, 1996, racism was still very strong in Europe. But he managed, due to his character, due to his talent,
to his competence.
Yeah, to his competence, he managed to win those trophies 4th time, 4th time in 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2013. And after he came back into the country in 2015, and then he started to serve at the Ministry of Sport and Federation. So he was in charge of Federation. So he was an advisor to the Minister of Youth and Sport.
Yes, of
so
sport.
there also he acquired a lot of experience. So this makes him a man who is totally complete. And I think he's coming and his candidacy can arrange a lot of things.
And I'm not taking the speech from you, but I wanted to add that Jerome Efong-Zolo was equally an international referee for FIFA in Europe from 2008 to 2014. He's equally the first African referee of Sub-Saharan Africa of first division in Belgium, and he is an instructor of elites of the referees of FIFA and the Confederation of African Football. Get back the floor.
That's great. And with all those records, you see, I think I don't want to be a spokesman, to him, but I think he has a very, very good profile, and his coming can clean up all the mess which people have just, assisted into the federation. So
a mess which is not only in the Gabonese Football Federation, because equally the Football Federation of Cameroon, of Senegal, of Burkina Faso are having serious issues, this problem. In short, these few times, all these federations are having serious managerial issues, and football is becoming a big stuff and a big issue on the African continent. But Joseph Willie, what I wanted to ask you is that seeing the Jerome Efong-Zolo at 14 years old, who was in a career as a footballer, if I got the details of Gauthier Perchano's report keenly, then he, after a wound, he stopped his career and decided to put himself in referee because of his love of football. He took in training as a referee. Do you see his coming at the head, maybe, of this federation as president as a wind of change in the Gabonese football?
Yes, I think because he has a very good background in football. If he apply that into football administration, I think it would be good for the image of the FECAFOOT. But the problem then is, will he be able to master the politics of the game?
That's the thing.
That is the thing. You can be very qualified, but the politics of the game can throw you outside. If you can manage, if you can understand the Gabonese politics of the football, I think you can be able to pull it out. You see, the African football needs experts like this to turn the whole thing around. It happened in Nigeria because the present federation chairman, which is Amadou Pinchik, is a very good footballer. He's a very good football administrator. When he came in, he has changed, honestly, he has changed the outlook of the Nigerian Football Federation because he knows what to do when he came in. I think the man, Jerome, knowing what to do, if they allowed him, let me put it like that, if they allowed him, I think
if he's elected.
Yes, if he's elected.
If he's elected,
yes, if he's elected, that's what I'm saying. If he's elected, he can change the fortune of FECAFOOT in Gabon.
But let's see this in this way. Is Jerome Efonzolo, can't he be qualified as an example for all these footballers who miss their careers for one or another reason? Because seeing that he didn't feel discouraged after his wound, but he still remained in football, but maybe doing something else, referring. Don't you see that he is an example for all these African footballers?
Yeah, of course. I think he is a very great example, because there have been a lot of people who had a lot of love and a lot of passion for football, and after a wound, they decided just to stop. I would take the case of a Franco-Senegalese guy. Today he has turned into rapping, into rap music. He was a very good footballer. He was at the training center of Arsenal.
No, because most young Africans, once they miss their career, they miss being footballers on pitch, they feel discouraged and they don't do anything again of their lives. I can cite so many examples.
Yeah, that's really, really unfortunate. But coming back to Mr. Efonzolo, I think Mr. Efonzolo, he knew really what he wanted. Because the best thing is to know what really you want. Whenever you know what you want in something, even though you have a lot of dams along your way, you will always push forward. You will always try to achieve your dream.
No matter the obstacles.
No matter the obstacles, that's it. So, there is a proverb saying that some people will always put stones along your way, but it's up to you to do whether you want to build a bridge with those stones or you want to build a wall for yourself to be stopped. So I think Mr. Jerome, he has gone to the end of his dreams because he knew from the beginning what he wanted.
Talking about dreams, his vision for this federation is better formations for referees, for both women and men athletes, youth, and all that goes about. Also international partnerships with international organizations, federations, and clubs. Better communication in the federations. The federations' communication will be ameliorated on social networks. A transparent and good gestion of all the finances of the federation, development of partnerships and a system of sponsoring for the federation, and also he wants to do a lot in social. What do you think about this kind of program?
Yes, those are very good objectives, which is as lined out as when it comes in as the FA chairman. But I think what he needs to do now is that as a CAF instructor at the referee side, he needs to use some friends and the CAF to lobby, because that is the aspect of an election. If you want to win an election, you better start to lobby. If you do not lobby, okay, I am qualified, another person is qualified. So I think he has to use all the necessary power that you have, CAF, FIFA, if you know if there is a connection that you have, to get to the people that are going to vote for you. Because at the end of the day, no matter how good your objectives are, if you do not garner enough vote to become the president of the Gabon FECAFOOT, you are not going to win the election. So what he's supposed to do now is to start...
You seem to be firm about that.
No, it's true. Yes, it is true. Another person might have it.
Lobbying, it's the key.
You have to do it. Yeah. That is, it's an election. Who are the people that are going to vote? Start now to meet them, talk to them, sell yourself, get GAF involved, get FIFA involved, if possible the UEFA. He has worked there in Belgium for a long time.
For a long time.
You have good friends there.
And
you can also
even his good agenda is even an opportunity for the Federation of Gabonese football, because he has a lot of contacts in the domain.
Yes,
so
as he says,
he is well placed to put in place this project.
He is well placed to put in his projects, but the thing is, running for chairmanship is one thing, but being elected is another thing. Because, if I want to come to the previous chairperson of the FEGAFOOT, he was placed there by Mr. The man of Cameroon. Issahayatou. Issahayatou was a very strong support to the one who's moving now, the outgoing one. So it means that you need to have some lobby, you need to have some people to support you. And he also has another problem. So since we are on a second,
I think this can also be underlined as one of the problems of us Africans. we don't believe in ourselves.
No, it's not a matter of
I
It's
believe
not a matter
that
of
the
believing
world
in yourself.
only the fact
Look,
of being somebody who is credible and who has the means and the experience to be the chairperson of the FEGAFOOT can be able to do it without anybody's support.
I think I have
or
told you
vote
that
for
you
them.
don't get it.
the
You don't
thing
get
is-
things on the platter of gold. You must have to go for it. Fight for it.
Yes.
If I will use that, fight for it. You are qualified. He is qualified. I am qualified. So what do we do?
What do we do? That's
What
the
do we
thing.
do?
So we need to have some
We
support.
wait for
Yes.
the people who are electing us.
But
That
We
is
have
what I'm
to
saying.
put
That because
our-
if you do not do your homework, if you can't do your homework, meet the people that are going to put us there, you cannot win an election.
And moreover, he has a
No,
big
you
problem.
can't.
You know, since we are on set so as to talk about everything, he has a very big problem. He has been reported as the candidate of the president of the republic, and a lot of people are suspicious about.
Do you have
suspicious.
any proof
No,
of
no.
that?
But I
yes.
attended the conference.
Excuse me,
no,
Joseph
no, no, no,
Willie,
no.
do you
No.
have any proof
See,
of
Yes, that's a very good question. If I may.
I think that might stand for him. It might work for him because if he is the candidate of the president, good. The football
And
in
there
Africa,
is-
It's a big problem. It's not good. It's a big problem.
It is
I will
not a
explain.
problem.
not
It
a
is not a
problem.
problem.
No, it's a big problem.
It is not
It
a
is not a
problem.
problem because
I will explain.
football-
I will provide
Okay,
explanations.
explain.
Okay,
Joseph
let me go.
Willie, let's leave the
Okay.
floor to Gauthier to
Okay,
explain.
I'm explaining that if he's really the candidate of the presidency of the republic,
Okay.
so things are really bad for him. Because I attended the press conference, and there were a lot of people from media who were talking about it, that if this is the case, he can be sanctioned. It means that some people can vote against him because the presidency of the republic has always been reported as a, an institution, encroaching into the affairs of the federation.
Excuse me, Gauthier
Oh,
Prechano.
okay. Yes, what I was saying
no,
is-
the president has the right to have a choice.
No,
I think,
but-
I think like every human, he has the right to have a choice. But that doesn't mean that he's going to influence or get into the affairs
that's
of the
the thing.
federation
You
of the
see,
government.
What I was saying-
the
And you
presidency.
are a man of media, Gauthier Prechano. Please, you're a man of
No,
media.
my
You're not
point of
supposed
view,
to accord credit to what any kind
Yeah,
of
no,
media
I'm
would
just
say.
saying-
And
I'm just
most of
saying-
all,
He is
you
right
are
to
on the
say
Pan-African
that
media,
was
Labeltv.
yes, that was
Excuse
what
me.
he had on the
So,
ground.
Willie,
So what
please.
I am saying
That's
is
what I
it
had on
might
the
count
ground.
it might account for him is that in Africa,
Yes.
it is the government that funds football. Take it or you leave it.
Yeah, that's it.
Everywhere in Africa, government funds.
But even in
so if it has
Nigeria-
yes, it's everywhere.
Even
If-
in
if
Nigeria,
it-
governors have been giving money to
to the
teams.
FA, to
Yes.
FA to run the affairs
Yes,
of the
that
FA.
is-
So
and
if
it is not a
if-
problem.
Yes,
But,
if,
you know, the
if
thing
it's
is-
a candidate, no, let me come. If it's a candidate of the presidency,
That's a
it
problem
means
today.
he has a very good relationship with the presidency. You have your project,
And he should be proud of that.
Yes,
But
Yes.
no,
the president is supposed to
The
release
danger
funds.
is the danger behind this whole thing is the fact that since the presidency of the republic has been reported as an institution always encroaching on the private affairs of the FEGAFOOT. For example, the presidency can send some. I mean, what I heard from the ground, the presidency can order the coach to take that or that other player. For example, while it's not the choice of the coach,
But it
and the
happens
people into the
everywhere.
federation.
No,
It happens
Yeah, but that's a problem.
everywhere.
That's the problem because the federation.
These are what
I
we said in
think-
Africa.
Willie,
Yes.
the federation has to be autonomous. You see, the coach has to take his own decisions.
The day Gauthier Prechano
no,
will give me the
this
name
is-
of a federation or an international institution of football which is autonomous, then that day I think
No,
I'm going to buy you a car. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this program. You were watching 7th Round, your program which analyzes, decrypts major information on the African continent for Africans and by Africans. I am your humble host. I meet you later at 7:30 exactly Central African time to serve you the news in English. Stay tuned to Label Television and don't forget on this channel who is branding Africa's image. The best is yet to come. Goodbye.